We think we can recognize intelligence. We believe we can tell who understands the room, who deserves authority, who actually knows what they're doing. But here's the uncomfortable possibility. What if we're not detecting intelligence at all? What if we're detecting dominance and calling it the same thing? That's not a small confusion. It shapes who gets hired, who gets trusted, who gets to make decisions that affect other people's lives. And most of us never notice we're doing it. Imagine two people in the same room making the same argument. The first one says, "I might be wrong about this, but the data suggests we should go in this direction." The second one says, "Clearly the right call." We move forward. Who sounds smarter to you? Be honest. We say we value critical thinking, but we reward certainty. We claim to admire nuance, but we promote the person who never seems to doubt. We confuse volume with clarity. We confuse decisiveness with depth. And that confusion quietly shapes who rises. Let's look at a real example. Napoleon Bonaparte rose to power during one of the most unstable periods in French history. After the Revolution, France was exhausted, violent, unpredictable, without clear leadership. People weren't just looking for competence, they were looking for someone who could make the chaos stop. Napoleon moved decisively, he spoke with authority. He projected absolute certainty about military strategy, about governance, about France's place in the world. He was widely regarded as a genius. To be fair, he was genuinely talented. He reformed the legal system. He reorganized the military. There was real ability there. Watch what happened as his power grew. The invasion of Spain. The Russian campaign, a catastrophic overreach that destroyed much of his army. Waterloo. These were the decisions of a man who had stopped being seriously questioned. And here's the striking part. His reputation for brilliance survived long after his decisions became reckless. People kept looking for the hidden logic, assuming the plan was deeper than it appeared. Power didn't just elevate him. It filtered how his actions were read. That's not unique to Napoleon. It's a pattern. And once you see it, it's everywhere. So how does this actually work? There are 4 mechanisms. They don't always operate together, but when they do, they compound. Mechanism 1. The biology. For most of human history, reading status correctly was a survival skill. The dominant individual controlled food, protection, safety. Getting that read wrong had real consequences. So our nervous systems evolved to respond quickly to dominance cues. Steady eye contact, slower speech, lower vocal tone, physical stillness. These signals calm us, they suggest control. And control feels like competence, even when it's not. Mechanism 2. Confidence as cognitive relief. Certainty reduces anxiety. This is simple and important. When someone speaks without hesitation, they remove ambiguity from the room, and ambiguity is exhausting. Real intelligence often sounds like, "It depends. We need more data. There are trade-offs I haven't fully worked through." That sounds unstable, so we gravitate toward the person who simplifies reality, even when reality isn't simple. A junior employee pauses before answering. It looks uncertain. A senior executive pauses. It looks strategic. Same pause, different positions, completely different interpretation. Status doesn't just elevate people. It reshapes how everything they do gets read. Mechanism 3. Who defines what counts? This one is quieter. but it might be the most important. The people with power in any situation tend to be the ones who define what a good outcome looks like, which means their decisions are evaluated against criteria they helped build. Revenue, market share, efficiency. These are not neutral measurements, they were chosen. Think about a woman managing a household, coordinating schedules for 4 people, running a budget under real constraints, maintaining the emotional stability of the whole unit. She does all of that without a title, without a salary, without a metric that would let anyone call it intelligent management. The intelligence is there, but it's not in the category that counts. The framework fits the framers. Mechanism 4. Survivorship. We remember the wins, the losses disappear. If you start with enough fund managers making random decisions, some of them will produce 10 wins in a row by chance alone. We just stopped, watching everyone who didn't survive that long. We see the outcome and we work backward, constructing the intelligence to fit what happened. All of this stays relatively contained when the stakes are low. But it doesn't stay low. In uncertain times, economic instability, social disruption, anything that raises collective anxiety, societies don't move toward careful thinkers. They move toward confident ones. The more anxious a population becomes, the more it prefers clear answers over accurate ones. And once dominance becomes confused with intelligence, something else happens. Criticism starts to look like incompetence. If the powerful person is obviously the smartest in the room, then disagreeing with them signals that you don't understand, that the problem is yours. This is when systems harden, when the feedback loops that might correct bad decisions get switched off. Napoleon's generals knew by 1812 that Russia was a catastrophic idea. Some of them said so. It didn't change anything. The cost of being seen as wrong was higher than the cost of going along. Dynamic is not confined to the 19th century. There are things you can actually do with this. None of them are easy in the moment, but they get easier with practice. Ask who set the terms. Before accepting that a decision was smart, ask what success was defined as and by whom. Separate the decision from the outcome. A decision can be good even when the outcome is bad. Luck exists. Timing exists. Watch who qualifies and who doesn't. The person who says, "I might be wrong," is often the one with the most accurate read. In conditions of genuine complexity, total certainty is a flag, not a green light. Look for what's not in the room, whose voice isn't being heard, whose failure isn't showing up in the success story. Notice the direction of credit. When things go well, who gets credited? When things go wrong, who absorbs the blame? If those consistently flow in opposite directions, that's information. Not necessarily about intelligence, about position. We like to believe we choose the most capable people. We like to believe we can see through performance. But intelligence often sounds uncertain. Power almost always sounds certain. So the next time someone makes you feel safe with their confidence, it's worth asking one question. Are you following the smartest person? Or the one who makes you feel safest? Those are not always the same thing. And the gap between them is where a lot of damage gets done.